Justice Report. This is your host, Bernsorff. Lots to talk about, lots to get to today. Today we're going to talk about Seattle democracy vouchers, hungry college students, purpose of labor unions, and the Kickstarter company. Before I get to those topics, I'm going to talk a little about the local news events, viewer comments, and political commentary. So first, local news and events. We have Ripon Almond Blossom Festival, February 20th to 23rd at Michelin Sports Park, Ripon. We have The Illusionist, February 27th at Bob Hope Theater, 7:30 p.m. Tickets start at $29.50. Now, viewer comments. I got a comment from Joanna from Lodi. Asked me, Vic, why are there so many definitions of socialism? Excellent question, Joanna. Let me just tell you that there are as many definitions of socialism as there are cars to fit the needs of different families. Even in the most socialist, well, democratic socialist countries, Nordic countries, right? Not all of their social programs are the same. Not all of them are financed the same. Not all of them have the same length for maternity leave, paternity leave, vacation, or whatever. They're all different. Depends on what the citizens of those countries consider important. Same thing in this country. However, I can tell you that there's two excellent definitions of socialism that you can distill down to. One of them is Bernie Sanders' slogan, "Not me, us," and also one that says, here it goes, socialism is a system where everyone pays for the benefit of everyone. Right? Gee, that certainly sounds like a taxpayer system to me, funding things through the tax system, right? Paying for roads and bridges that everyone uses, paying for police and fire and library, right? Everyone pays for it, everyone benefits from it. That's socialism, and we have it here in America. So no matter what the Republicans say, we have socialism going on here in America in many different forms. Okay, political commentary. Republicans against the ropes. I tell you, we got to pay close attention to the election this coming year because Republicans will try to rig every link in the entire election process, in my opinion. Right? Why? Demographics are working against them. They don't want all states to look like California. No one's in the majority in California. Okay, there's a multiracial society here in California. They don't want that. Look at the demographics of the Republican Party and look at the demographics of the Democratic Party, okay? They're really scared. They're really scared because if they can't cheat and steal, then, hey, I hate to say it, but it's true. In fact, if they can't lie and cheat and steal, they can't win elections. And let me prove my point. This is an article from NPR, June 6, 2019, titled "Redistricting Gurus' Hard Drives Could Mean Legal Political Woes for GOP." And I'll paraphrase the article, it's short. This is about Thomas Hofeller, who was a Republican political strategist who helped draw legislative districts. Okay? This is what he said. "Redistricting is like an election in reverse. It's a great event," he said with a smile, at the National Conference of State Legislators event in the year 2000. "Usually the voters get to pick the politicians. In redistricting, the politicians get to pick the voters. Isn't that great?" A map maker and Republican strategist, he saw holes in the democratic system that could be exploited by technology. Hofeller, who died in August 2018, saw a way to turn small vote margins into supermajorities for GOP legislatures. For example, in North Carolina, after Republican successes in the 2010 election, Hofeller helped draw new maps that netted the Republican Party 10 of the state's 13 congressional seats, despite the popular vote in that state being nearly equal. Okay? After Hofeller's death, his daughter found hard drives and thumb drives holding close to 100,000 files, according to the New York Times. Then she turned them over to Common Cause, which is a voting rights nonprofit. Now that trove of his data could undo some of the work he spent decades perfecting, gaming the system. Okay, that's what they're best at. The Republicans are best at. Because, like I said, their planks, their party platform planks, they don't resonate with the majority of the American people. Bernie Sanders' platform planks do. So there's not enough millionaires and billionaires that vote. So they have to find ways to cheat, in my opinion. And this is a perfect example. Okay. Okay, let's get to our economic justice stories in the news. First one, Seattle democracy vouchers. Let's watch a video, and then I'll talk about it. By the way, today's information comes from citylab.com, seattle.gov, dated August 2018. And the video comes from represent.us, dated November 9th, 2017. So watch this video about democracy vouchers, and we'll come and talk about it. Steps in the process. You look for it in the mail. Then it says you may use them all at once or throughout the election year. Then democracy vouchers, these are in Seattle, by the way. They can be used. They can be given to all to one candidate, or you can spread them out across many candidates. All you do is return your democracy vouchers in the mail using the prepaid envelope. And you can also return them to the campaign or designated locations on the website. Okay, so what is a democracy voucher, and why is it important? So give me some background information. Democracy voucher is a way of public financing of political campaigns used in mayoral or city council elections. They're currently used in Seattle, Washington. The vouchers program is funded by a 10-year, $30 million property tax levy that Seattle voters approved in 2015. The whole point of democracy vouchers is to diversify the pool of political donors in the city's elections. It debuted in 2017, the 2017 elections. Again, the whole idea behind the voucher program is to increase voter participation, make a more democratic process, because normally people on pensions and homeless can't afford to support their candidates. So Seattle voters approved a property tax of $3 million per year in 2015 to fund the democracy voucher program for 10 years. The properties that are taxed include commercial, business, and residential properties as well. Now, how are the vouchers used by the candidates? Assigning your democracy voucher to a candidate is the same as donating to a candidate's campaign. The democracy vouchers program is a great way to help get big money out of politics and bring democracy back to the people where it really belongs. Now, get this how cheap it is. The democracy voucher program costs the average homeowner about $8 per year. $8 a year. The democracy voucher idea has spread to other cities like Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Austin, Texas. Hopefully, they will implement that program as well. Okay, on to the next story. Hungry college students. This is a tragic story, tragic news story. Let's listen to the clip.
As college tuition rises sharply and middle-class families are feeling the effects of a poor economy, many students have no money for food after they pay for tuition and books. A survey conducted by Temple University and the Wisconsin Hope Lab revealed that 36% of students can't afford enough food. It also showed a correlation between going hungry and earning lower grades and potentially not graduating. According to The Atlantic, even students at prestigious schools like UCLA are going hungry.
Okay, that's really tragic. Let me give you the backstory about this. Food insecurity affects about 19% of American college students on average. One of the reasons is because college is more expensive now, and about 40% of undergraduates and 76% of graduate students work at least 30 hours per week, and nearly 20% have children that they have to support while studying. Imagine that. Imagine how hard that is. Now, to avoid paying for benefits, today's employers, which includes universities, by the way, divide full-time hours across many part-time student workers, adding to the number of students working many jobs to make ends meet. Let me read this again. This is the universities that do this too. To avoid paying for benefits, they divide part-time hours across many part-time student workers, adding to the number of students working many jobs just to make ends meet. Imagine that. It's economic injustice. Horrific economic injustice. About 42% of students who don't have family support live in poverty, compared to 17% of students who do. Now, this is a story I'm going to quote from usnews.com. As a college graduate, Sarah Goldrick attended George Washington University in part through serendipity. Her mom was an adjunct professor at the school in the nation's capital, which meant Goldrick could enroll in and go for free. Then reality set in. The deal didn't include money for food or housing. So Sarah went to work as a waitress, 40 hours a week, so she could buy groceries and pay rent during her undergraduate years. Now, in my own case, I was very fortunate. I had a meal plan when I went to college. I didn't have to work. So all my energy, I had no stress level, except for my 18 units of classes, right? Folks, we have to make college affordable again as it was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Here in California, that's the way it was. Thanks to a great extent to Governor Pat Brown, which was Jerry Brown's father. Okay? I mean, look, the entire college experience in the United States seems to keep getting worse. It gets worse and worse and more expensive. It doesn't have to be that way, folks. I mean, I'll tell you my story. Yeah, I had to take student loans back in the 70s. It was like $10,000. But I got into a good paying job in the Bay Area, worked for a defense contractor. And then they had a tuition reimbursement program. So I put out the money for the MBA, but they paid for it completely. It took me 5 years to complete. Worked during the day, went to school at night in 5 years. Back then it was like $40,000, $50,000 for the MBA program. But and then they can get into a organization that has a tuition reimbursement program, and let them pay for the bills of your tuition. Okay. Now in my son's case, my advice to him is going to be like this: since we live here in Stockton, go to San Joaquin Delta College where tuition is free for 2 years, get your AS degree, and then take the ACE rail to the Bay Area to find a great job. That's what a lot of commuters do where I live in Western Ranch. 40% of jobs in the Bay Area. Yeah, it's a long commute, but you know what? To afford a home in Stockton, that's what you have to do. Sacrifices have to be made. Okay? Long term, it'll work out. Now, one of my family members earned an associate degree in business many years ago. Okay, and that was enough to get him an entry-level job because he lived in the Bay Area. He got a job in the city of Santa Clara with just an associate degree. It was a decent-paying job with good benefits, and from there he moved up. He moved up in the chain of command, and he earned between $65,000 to $85,000, and has pensions, and so he has got a great pay and a great retirement. He's going to have a great retirement. Folks, you don't need to go into student debt to get a good job. Okay. Now here's an idea. Get an associate degree while living at home, if you can. Okay. Get an entry-level job at a company or a government that has a tuition reimbursement program, and let that organization pay for any other degree you might need, if you need it at all. Right? Try that route. Okay. It worked for me, and it worked for one member of my family. Okay, I'm going to talk more about student loans in future shows, and ways we can get around getting education without the need to get into debt. Okay, next one is a spotlight story, which is the importance of labor unions. Let's watch a clip and then come back and talk about it.
Unions are working people standing together. It makes us stronger. Unions built the middle class, our past, our present, and our future. It's never been more important for us to stand together than it is today. To stand together for good jobs. To stand together for safe workplaces. To stand up to the Wall Street CEOs trying to control our future. Unions are training veterans for good careers. Unions are creating the clean energy jobs of the future. Unions are fighting for smaller class sizes and affordable tuition. Unions are leading and winning the fight for higher wages for everyone. Working people standing together means working people standing up for each other.
Yes, folks, that's the essence of a union. It kind of reminds me, I'm watching a show, and the father was trying to teach his son a lesson, and he picks up a twig and asks his son to break it, and he breaks it real easy. Then he gives him like 40 twigs, and the son can't break it. And that is the essence of what a union is all about. You're stronger together. They can't break you if there's so many of you. Okay, that's kind of like the same reason why all the migrants come across the border in large groups, because they can't be attacked. They're stronger together. Same kind of logic there. But let me talk about the unions some more here. By the way, this information comes to you from two organizations: the California Labor Federation, dated August 25th, 2016, also from mentalfloss.com, dated March 19th, 2012. So basically, unions were created in the 1900s to improve life for all working families in America. It's working people standing together, bargaining with their bosses for what? For better pay, safer working conditions, good benefits, and a voice on the job. Having that kind of power in the workplace has made the American dream possible for millions of Americans. Okay, unfortunately, the corporations are trying to kill off the unions. And what's been happening the last 50 years? Well, quality of life has been going down accordingly with the decline of the unions. Now, on average, union workers earn about 25% more than non-union workers and usually receive health care and pension benefits than those without a union. Labor unions are almost or just as good as worker co-ops. If you remember at a show about worker co-ops, anyone in a worker co-op is both a manager and a worker at the same time. Okay. Now, I've worked under a labor union, operating engineers union, and I appreciated them going to bat for me every day by negotiating raises, good benefits, and safer working conditions. I was happy to pay the monthly dues to support their work, so they can allow me and my coworkers to actually achieve the American dream. And I'll tell you, I was able to sleep at night knowing that I could not be laid off, because if they laid me off, there would be a grievance procedure, and the union would go to bat for me, if they can, if it's a legitimate complaint, okay, that I had against the organization. Okay, I had a story about a year ago, living in the year 1905, or back to 1905, and I'm going to talk about that now. This story came with some pictures. I don't have them right now, but let me just tell you that. Imagine a family at a table working, building wreaths, Christmas wreaths or whatever kind of wreaths there are, right, with a 2-year-old child. And this is a story, 1905. This is a story from mentalfloss.com. And I quote, "This family was already training the youngest daughter, a 2-year-old, to make flower wreaths with the rest of them. They expected her to be able to work within the next year." Okay? 1905, this is what the family expected of a 2-year-old child. I'll read it again. "This family was already training the youngest daughter, a 2-year-old, to make flower wreaths with the rest of them. They expected her to be able to work within the next year." 1905. Another story. Imagine young boys between, say, 7 and 11 working in a coal processing facility, right, or area. And I quote again from Metal Floss. "These young boys were working inside a factory building in 1911, processing the impurities from the coal by hand. The dust was so thick, the coal dust was so thick at times, that many of the photographer's shots didn't even come out. Yet none of the boys were given protective gear to protect their lungs or eyes. In fact, they were, instead, get this, beaten and kicked by their bosses if they didn't seem to be working fast enough." Now, to prevent these kind of horrific abuses from ever occurring again is another reason why labor unions were created. Okay? But predominantly by paying workers a living wage, it's C corporations that hate them. You know? And basically, C corporations can't maximize their profits if you pay people a living wage. And that's why they hate labor unions and try to get rid of them. And they have, to a great extent. I think California, back in 1970 or 80, was like 31% unionized. And now it's like 12%. And along that, quality of life has deteriorated for a lot of individuals. Okay, let's move on now to a new segment called Humanitarian Organizations. I try to showcase companies that care not just about profit, but also about their workers, the environment, and the society that they're based in. This information comes to you from Kickstarter.com. And like I said, we're talking about Kickstarter. It's a benefit corporation. I hope you know what benefit corporation is by now, because I had many shows on that already. But let me just talk about, let's watch a clip. Not about Kickstarter, but about what a B corporation is in general. Again, because I want to keep going back to it, because it's important to understand what this is. It's a new concept that hardly anybody talks about it, because it's not in the news very much. So I'm going to be coming back to describing what a B corporation is again and again, because it's really important to understand. They're actually good organizations that try to make a lasting impact on not just their employees, but also society and the environment. So in this case, we're talking about the Patagonia Company.
Patagonia since its beginning in 1973, has been committed to environmental protection. We helped the founders of the B Corp movement develop their certification tool. For a new company, it can be a guide for how to set up a company, not just to deliver value to the shareholders, but for benefit to society and environmental protection.
It's almost like a checklist, for us to say, well, how serious are you about being a socially responsible company? From a business perspective, we cannot prosper unless the whole society prospers.
Success here would be everybody being a B Corp, because every consumer of a product or service on planet Earth knows what a B Corp.
Okay, let me read you this. This is the Patagonia Charter, or what they believe in. In 2011, Patagonia became a certified B Corporation. This means that our company's overall environmental and social performance is measured and independently verified by a third party called B-Lab. In 2012, we went a step further and incorporated as a benefit corporation, the first in the state of California, which legally binds us to work to achieve the environmental and social commitments set out in our corporate charter. Currently, 30 U.S. states and the District of Columbia have adopted benefit corporation legislation. This is a sign in the Patagonia company. Let's keep going.
Corp is, and want to only support B Corp companies. Wouldn't that then incentivize the boards of directors of big multinational companies to become B Corps? That's what we want the world to look like.
All companies compete not just to be the best in the world, but the best for the world.
Absolutely. So, we'll talk about the Kickstarter company now. The Kickstarter company provides a funding platform for creative projects, everything from films, games, music, art, design, and technology, and then hopefully become successful companies from there. Remember, a B Corporation or benefit corporation are for-profit companies that are obligated to consider not just business needs, but societal and environmental needs as well. They are held accountable for the impact of their business decisions on society, their employees, and the environment. And get this, they cannot be sued by shareholders if they do not provide a profit for that year. Okay? That's what B corporations are all about. And C corporations like Exxon, Walmart, and Amazon are the exact opposite of benefit corporations. Okay, exact opposite. They get care less about everything I just said about the environment, and employees, and societal needs. To a great extent. To a great extent. Okay. Now, I'm going to read to you now the Kickstarter charter. Kickstarter will donate 5% of its profits to the arts, music education, and to organizations fighting to end systemic inequality. Okay? Kickstarter will report on team and leadership demographics, executive and CEO pay ratios, and programs and strategies employed to build a diverse, inclusive, and equitable organization. Kickstarter will fight to end prejudices against and to increase opportunities for people of color, women, and LGBT individuals. Now, C corporations don't really have to be unethical organizations. Okay, a lot of them are not. A lot of them are not. A lot of them do have, ethical management that do the right thing, but it's voluntary. It's voluntary. I worked most of my life for private companies, and I have to say, they were excellent companies that cared about the employees. I don't know about the environment and about greater society, but they did care about the welfare of the employees. But they don't have to, okay? A lot don't have to, that's the thing. Now, these C corporations, they can also be B corporations, or in other words, benefit corporations. They don't have to trash the environment, impoverish their employees, or manipulate their books to cheat Uncle Sam, like the companies featured on the TV show American Greed, Compared to C corporations, benefit corporations have it within them, not just to be the best in the world, but to be the best for the world. Now, like I said, I'm not trashing C corporations in general, but look at the environmental abuses that a lot of them are responsible for. I named Exxon, Walmart, Amazon. Okay, there are instances of employee abuses, environmental abuses, safety abuses. You don't have to work this way, folks. They don't have to be that way. B corporations, they consider what's important to the employees, what's important to the society that they're based in, where the company is, the people around them that buy their products, and they're also concerned about the greater good, the environment, environmental impacts. Okay, so as I come to the end of the show today, let me just tell you that the next show will be Thursday, February 27th, and we're talking about economic protests in Chile, why the U.S. can't seem to solve social problems, and how corporations are infiltrating America's classrooms. Okay, well, that's the show for today, folks. Thanks for listening. This is Vic Bernsorff at 89.5 FM, KBCC, Community Radio in Tracy. And always remember, under democratic socialism, the people who produce the profits, and the people who receive the profits are the same people. Have a great day.